All right, Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. The honors go out to our apostle, Elsgrave Millstone, Ruin, Teach Well. Shalom, Mabarakim, to you brothers and sisters out there. All right, this is Brother Malachi from the Great Millstone Nashville branch. Slakim. And Lord willing that this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. But I wanted to touch on the topic of, basically not arguing, not debating, not going back and forth. These are all synonymous with one another. With unbelievers. Right? Because we know and understand through the scriptures that we may be able to teach, we will teach rather many people in the sense of, like at camp or lessons, many people may come across our street preaching, which is the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Bashmel Shai that he has bestowed upon us. But it doesn't mean that they will learn. They'll hear the teaching, it doesn't mean that they'll apply it. Okay, now, the important thing to note and to understand is we're not here to make sure that people apply it in the sense of like that. We understand that, like Yahweh Shai said, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you. Okay, so we don't wake up and choose Yahweh Bashmel Shai. We were brought into this thing. You see? So there's no point in debating or going back and forth, arguing, with these people. It's vanity. All right, look that up. Vanity. Basically worthless, useless. That's what it is. Because if the Lord did not give them the eyes to see and the ears to hear, then they're not going to understand it. All right, before I get this word, let me grab this scripture real quick. Turn that brightness down too. Matthew chapter 13, verse 11. He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Well, let me start at 9. Shalaki, let me read that again. I'll get in the NLT. Matthew 13 and 9 to 11 in the NLT. Anyone with, and when it's in red, that means Yahweh Shai spoke these words. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. His disciples came and asked him, why do you use parables when you talk to the people? He replied, you are permitted to understand the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but others are not. So it's not, like it says in the KJV, it's given unto you, but to them it is not given. Okay, so that right there shows you that the Lord doesn't want not even certain people, but many people, a good amount of people, a lot of people, most people, to not understand this truth. So who are you to fight against the will of Yahweh Bashmel Shai? You're trying to convince a scoffer, convince a family member that's denied. Now, can the Lord have mercy? Absolutely. Individuals can come out of it. It's lucky for the yawning. It's almost that time for bed. But you're beating a dead horse, man. If the Lord doesn't want an individual to understand his truth, you telling them over and over and over again, it's not gonna avail anything. It's vanity. So you got to keep that in mind. Let me grab this. Because even the prophet Isaiah in Isaiah the 6th chapter, he asked the Lord, how long? How long until these people understand what's going on? And the Lord said, basically, after the missiles. Because after this nuclear destruction, after the salvation of the elect, we're all going to receive by we all, I mean the Israelites, starting with the elect, are going to receive those new bodies, which is going to have the laws written in us. That's going to be the new covenant. All right, then all Israel is going to understand, because they're all going to be there. All Israel will be saved. Romans chapter 11, I'm going to start at verse 7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day. And David saith, let their table be made a snare, and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down their neck always. So, a lot of our people aren't going to understand this knowledge, man. Okay? No matter how bad you might want them to, or even if you don't know them, you don't want Jake to scoff and scorn and to bug out. We want our brothers and sisters out there to adhere to the words of Yahweh Shemel Shai, most definitely, but we understand that it's not prophecy. It's not going to happen. All right? There needs to be scoffers. There needs to be a 2/3 here in America. There needs to be rebels across the globe. There needs to be people that take the MOTB, that micro C-hip. There needs to be people that scoff against the prophets of Yahweh Shemel Shai. It's all written. So who are we to fight against his will? If they're not meant to get it, they're not going to get it. They're not going to understand. All right, so I got the word up here for argue. It says to make reasoned statements to prove or refute a proposition, maintain an opinion or view, harry, reproach, accuse, blame, make clear, make known, prove, declare, demonstrate. And you can't make known or prove, okay, something to somebody that is not meant to understand it, because they're going to operate off of their own vain opinion. Sirach 3:24. They're basing everything upon how they feel, what they want. Which, Salakia, once again for all the yawning, you can't, make people understand. If they're not meant to get it, they're just not going to get it. They're not going to get it at all. All right, and it's unfortunate, because we want all Jake to get it, but there's no point in arguing, going back and forth, because after you see that it's not clicking, you need to understand that the Spirit just ain't dealing with that, man. Because we're going to have a lot more run-ins with situations like that in the coming days. Especially Jacob's Trouble. People are going to come up to us and be like, hey, man, I'm sorry I didn't listen back then, but what can I do? And it's like, no, it's too late now. It's too late. Oh, Slag is right there. Titus 3 and verse 10 to 11. A man that is an heretic after the first and second admonition reject. All right, so after he doesn't get it after a few times, look, we're done talking about it, man. It says, knowing that he that is such is subverted and sinneth, being condemned of himself. So you can't force people to believe this truth. All right, faith is a gift. Faith is also something that the Lord requires us to have. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You can't force somebody to have faith. You can brainwash and indoctrinate somebody, but you can't force somebody to have faith. All right, and we're all here, going out to camp and doing our lessons, praying, fasting, keeping the laws to the best of our ability, because we actually have that fear, because we actually believe. Also understanding that the Lord chose you to be in this ministry and not vice versa really humbles you as well, because just as quick as the Lord brought you in this thing, he can bring you out even faster. So we really got to make sure we're on our P's and Q's. All right, and part of being on your P's and Q's is not arguing with these people, man. Let them have it. All right, especially if you're outside of a teaching setting and They don't know that you're an Israelite and, in Great Millstone or an affiliate camp teaching the sound doctrine. They don't know nothing about you. Leave it at that. Leave them wondering. Leave them with that question mark above their head, like, who is this guy? Or who is this woman? What are they about? No, you ain't got to tell nobody nothing, man. But especially if the Spirit is on you to tell somebody something, even especially camp or a lesson, when it's most definitely in season, or it's time in the season for everything. If they're not understanding it, well, forget about it. Don't keep trying to drill the point home. There's nobody there. Like it says, the porch light was on or something, but there was nobody home. I knocked at the door and there was nobody inside. Something like that. Basically saying like they're alive and they're alert, but their brain ain't working. It's not activated. They don't understand what's going on. But ultimately, we do all these things, like Apostle Paul said, for the elect's sake, man. All right, we don't do this for a regular Jake. We love regular Jake. Yahweh is our of the elect, first and foremost, but we love regular Jake. But you don't want to listen. You look at the history, Jake's been hard-headed for the longest. Well, the hard head about to turn soft. Okay, it's time to grow up. And if you don't want to listen to the words of Yahweh Shemel Shai, then don't expect anybody to get on you and constantly tell you hey, you got to do this. No, after a while, it's like, okay, he ain't listening. So, like Apostle Paul said, my hands are washed and the mission is done. All right, so don't worry about people out here not being able to understand or believe. Like it says in 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter, the word incredulity. Somebody that's not able or not willing to understand. But they're going to understand once that death by pain comes. All right? Because ultimately, like it says in Romans 3:3 as well, these prophecies are written. And whether they want to believe it or not, though it tarry, wait for it in Habakkuk. Whether they want to believe it or not, that ain't going to happen. That's not written. That ain't going. Oh, okay. Wait till you see America letting you know that a missile is 20, 25 minutes out. Okay, so Lord, when that this lesson was edifying, before I close, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shai, Ba'Shem Rechach Kodash. The honor is the Apostle Elder Great Millstone. Shalom.